2nd, 2015. My name is Emily Legel, and today I'm joined by
Justin Kelch,
Wendell,
and John Schluns.
Today our topic is how much is the extent of religious freedom in American society? How much should we tolerate? Our nation was founded on religious freedom. Many of the first settlers came over on the prospect that they would not be told how they should practice their religion by the Church of England or, for example, the Catholic Church in France. The religious freedom was enshrined in the First Amendment of our Constitution, in which it is written, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The topic of religious freedom has come up in the news a lot lately, from the shooting of 3 young Muslims in Chapel Hill, North Carolina by a known atheist, to the Westboro Baptist Church, to whether students should be allowed to pray in schools.
Well, I'm going to say this. Religious freedom, like every other freedom, is not absolute. You have a right to swing your arms out, but you don't have, but your right ends when it hits someone. And you have a freedom to practice your religion as long as it doesn't hurt anyone. For instance, if you have a religion that worships some spiritual thing, and pretty much all religions do, that is perfectly fine. But if it requires you to sacrifice people to that spirit, then that's not fine. Right? That's where you would draw the line. Also, there's a lot of gray areas, do you have the right to pray in public spaces?
I was going to say, another one would be self-harm. Is it okay for religious reasons to harm thyself or have your children hurt themselves? I mean, in the simplest sense, we have how many religions require fasting. That is denying food and substance, causing yourself the possibility of harm.
Well,
How is that?
That is really not that much harm, but I can think of a lot worse harmful things that people do in the name of religion. And I don't really.
Let's just not go into some of those.
Go into the details, but there's a lot of things like self-mutilation.
Or mutilation of their children in some certain way.
Well, and even in the sense of like self-harming, okay, they're causing direct physical harm to themselves, but like we talked about a couple episodes ago about denying their kids vaccines due to religious causes. They're causing harm by refusing medicine as well. So there's multiple ways of harm, and they're not all as simple as just hurting yourself physically.
Do you think with the new healthcare law that Catholic Church should be required to provide condoms to nuns?
No, I don't think that's really necessary.
Well, let's work our way back to how much religious freedom.
Because that's should be a violation of religious freedom and property rights. Like you have a right to your own body. And you have a right to run your own business the way you want to. If you are forced to give a service that you're not religiously inclined and that your religion is against, and then that's kind of wrong. That's coercion. It's kind of like making Chick-fil-A
So do you think
sell chicken on Sunday, which they don't want to.
But if you're a doctor and you're working in a public hospital and you refuse to do certain operations on people,
or if you're working in as a doctor in a public hospital and you refuse to treat someone who's gay, should that be allowed?
well, that's
No, you're working in a public hospital. You signed up to help people. If you don't sign up to help people, then you shouldn't be a doctor. That's what you signed up to
but
be.
it's not always helping. I mean, some of the situations it gets more ambiguous, like an abortion or.
We're not even going to talk about that.
Well, that's a topic for a different time, but
Should
we're
a
not
doctor
going
be-
to go into the entire
Let's
legal
focus
form.
on something more relatable to us, like prayer in schools or in public places. The influence of religion. We go to a public community college, and we do have a faith group on campus led by a pastor who teaches logic and a couple other classes. I believe. You said?
Philosophy,
ethics.
ethics.
Do you think, and a lot of organizations, especially when I Googled this a few minutes before the podcast, are advocating for prayer in public schools. They believe our nation was founded on Christian principles and they want to enforce that. Do you think that what do you think is the role of religion in public schools, as in those run by the state or county governments?
Well, I think that our religion is up to the people, to the student body, and that no one no one could impose it. Like for instance, we live in the United States, and religion is to the people. The First Amendment says that we will not establish a law.
So state religion.
Yeah.
But nor will we
nor will
prohibit
we,
you from exercising yours.
Yeah.
Considering like the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not steal, if somebody makes a law based on that to outlaw theft in a country, that's based on a religious premise.
But
yeah,
it's
but,
not.
but it has a
but it's-
secular
but it has-
value because of the fact that stealing is bad for society. Like if someone stole my camera, that would be bad for me, not bad because of some religion.
But a lot of politicians are guided, what they do is guided by their
How do you
religion.
know what's right and wrong?
Religion is what most people use to determine their morals, what they
Yeah.
decide is
Yeah,
right
that's-
and wrong.
That's
So-
not a good
It's
thing.
true for everyone.
But, yeah, and I'm glad we have a society that kind of has some religious stuff, but I think that it's kind of wrong for them to impose it, and especially in our public.
So let's just say that we have a kid. He's in 7th grade. And he wants to pray at lunch, so we get to go with friends to sit together with him over the lunch hour and just pray and talk about Bible while they eat. Do you think that he should be allowed to do that as long as it's not his motivation, not teachers, and anyone who joins willingly?
Yeah, that's yeah. We live in we have a public school that belongs to everybody, and if we pay into that, and we should expect that we can do what we want to do, to reasonably do stuff like that. Like it's belong. Yeah.
Well, and if that's allowed, if you allow, let's just say he's Christian and you allow him to pray in school, there has to be across the board equality, so the Satanists can pray, the atheists can do whatever they wish to do, the Muslims can pray. All religions can pray then if they allow one person to pray, and I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Well, I was gonna say it also depends on how people pray. If they're running around screaming
Yeah.
with a machete.
Well, and he did really good paraphrasing of Dr. Barleen of his idea of if you swing your arms around, your basic definition of freedom. If you swing your arms around, you're fine until you hit someone.
Well, I like that one with the First Amendment. I mean, you can say what you want, but if you yell fire at a movie theater and somebody gets trampled to death.
Yeah, that would be on you because you kind of caused that to happen.
What would you say when people say that certain groups argue that our nation was founded on Christian beliefs? What would you say to that?
Well, it's kind of true, kind of not, but that's more of a heritage thing.
How is it
More
not?
of a, it's not really as relevant right now because we live in a diverse country.
And it says, because I feel like whenever they say we need to go back to our Christian heritage, we need God in schools, I feel like they're imposing their version of religion on me. I mean, just because even if we are a so-called Christian nation, which I don't believe we are, I don't believe we should be, which version of Christianity do we use? Do we use Catholicism, Methodism, Westboro Baptist Churchism, to use a few examples? I mean,
Why don't we use universal values?
And how do you define universal? I think everything is subjective, and I have no problem with politicians being influenced by their religion. My religion informs my beliefs on certain things like punishment for crimes and different ethics. But just because I believe a certain thing does not mean that I have the right to force it on you. I can talk to you about the way I read the Bible or what I see in it. But just because I see things a certain way does not mean I should be able to force it on you. Okay, we have to do this because my religion says this.
I was going to say, one of the things I would, we can't, okay, I forgot.
Well, going to what she said, when people say that we have to get back to our heritage, out of, we e pluribus unum, out of many one, we're all different people, we all have different cultures, we all have different religions, and that's what makes this country amazing, is that we all differ in so many ways, and we bring different ideas to the table, and that innovation helps us prosper as a nation.
Well, what you were saying earlier about being founded on Christian values, or being a Christian nation, I mean, we do embody a lot of Christian beliefs, no stealing, no...
Those are also Jewish and those are also Jewish and Muslim beliefs. I mean...
And Buddhist and...
But there are some federal buildings that have the Ten Commandments carved into the stone of the building.
Well,
I mean, our
that's
nation
right.
is, I would say, Christian in the fact that it embodies a lot of Christian values. It's also a Muslim nation because it follows. A lot of those values are also incorporated, and they share the same.
Saying that we're a Christian nation, like I said, to me, it's more of a heritage thing. Like, we could say, that we are descended from English, even though, because we broke away from Great Britain a while ago. But that doesn't mean that we are totally British. We are our own separate nation now, and we can steer us on a path that we want to. If we want to steer away from the Christian values that we were founding on, that would be fine.
What do you think of the number of hate crimes against Muslims, which has increased by 3 times since 9/11? It seems like the Muslim group, especially with ISIS, especially with Bin Laden and Al Qaeda, since the war started in the Middle East, they have especially been coming under attack by the religious community, by certain members of the Christian community, and also by certain members of the atheist community. I mean,
But you could also say also by some members of the Muslim community.
Yeah.
Because they don't really support ISIS either.
Well, there have been hate crimes in the United States.
Well,
against those, especially against, I'm just going to mention those 3 poor people who were shot by their neighbor in Chapel Hill weeks ago.
Well, I personally think there's Western bias involved. I mean, after 9/11, everyone was very cautious when they were around Muslim people, and then when they wanted to build a mosque downtown in New York City, everyone said there's no way we can allow them to build the mosque, but here we have Westboro Baptist Church going to dead soldiers' funerals, and we don't say, oh, Christians are crazy, look what they're doing. But,
I think they say,
I do say they're crazy.
I do.
All Christians are crazy. Is that
Somewhat. The ones that go to
based
Baptist.
off of what Westboro did, or just off personal thought?
I'm saying the South Baptists are crazy.
They're going to be crazy Christians, crazy atheists, crazy Buddhists, crazy Shintos, crazy.
There are radicals for every
It's crazy
train of thought.
everyone.
Mm-hmm.
There's crazy Republican, Democrats.
But
that
comes down
doesn't
to the
change
question.
anything. It's always going to have fringe groups.
Do you think
The generalization and stereotyping, let's say we're looking for people illegally smuggled over the border. Are we going to check one of the people that country, 99% of the people coming from that country are a certain ethnicity? Would it be wrong to judge by ethnicity in that sense? I mean, if we're on the Mexican border, would we check the people of Mexican heritage who came over?
Well, that would be a great topic. That would be a great topic for another one, prejudice in the United States today.
But I was going to say the same thing with Muslims. Most of the crimes were committed by people of that descent.
Excuse me, there's a statistic that was released recently. More than 80% of the mass shootings in the United States in the past 10 years have been committed by white males between the ages of 18 and 54. So, by saying that, you are very stereotyping a very peaceful religion that
No.
emphasizes the care of innocence.
Well, let's
No.
not say religion's peaceful. Let's
No.
all remember the Crusades.
No. Okay,
Um,
yes, that's true.
But let's think. Okay, so let's go back to the.
5 minutes.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying that if we're looking for Al Qaeda members,
Yeah.
are we going to go through?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
by general definition, Al Qaeda would be an extremist
Yeah.
Muslim group. Would
Yes.
you agree with that?
Just,
Looking
Just
at
like-
How do
extremist
you
Muslim-
tell religion based off appearance, other than if they have to wear religious,
Garb.
any kind of religious garb? Yeah.
and how do you tell these?
Because how could you tell if I was a Christian or a Muslim right now, just looking at me?
The machete covered in blood on your belt.
Well, I
How-
don't. One, I don't have a machete. I don't have
Okay,
a machete. And
that's a bit.
two, that's a stereotype.
Yeah, that's too
And I
stereotypical.
mean, even the Westboro Baptist Church, they wear what professionals would wear. So if I look at a picture of two different people,
Well, the
one is-
daughter of the head of the church is a lawyer.
I guess what I was trying to say.
So was the founder, yeah.
Yeah.
I know stereotypes are wrong, and
Oh.
they're a common mistake people make. But the problem is they come from right reasoning. There is a rationale behind it. There is some truth to the overgeneralization is bad, but the reason you came to that point of view.
I would agree with that. I would
That's
agree
valid.
that stereotypes can sometimes be accurate. They're based off things that have previously been accurate.
Okay.
Okay, why don't we do some last thoughts?
But,
Done?
but I think that the increased violence against Muslims was a counteraction between 9/11. You know, when people kill other people, well, it's a bad thing, obviously. And it starts a cycle of hate, violence, and more hate. We just need to break that violence by, I'm not going to go into it right now, but there's a lot of things that that as a society and humanity need to do to break this cycle.
You have 3 minutes.
Any last thoughts, Justin?
The things are never as simple as they seem. The reasons human beings have a number of natural tendencies that lead them to bad decisions, especially statistics, and I mean the problem with overgeneralizations and what defines a religion. Then I mean you'd have to define personal boundaries and.
Joe?
My last thoughts would be religion should be a choice of whoever is going to be practicing it. So I don't think religion should be forced on a child just because their parent practices a certain religion. I think the parent should allow them to explore their own kind of religious life. A topic we didn't get to talk about today, I wanted to talk about tax exemption of churches. I mean, I personally think that tax exemption should be earned through the church. There was a time when the church did good deeds, such as take care of the homeless and provide support to the community, so I think that would be...
And many still do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that tax exemption should be earned only for the larger churches. I think that how you would determine that would be marginal.
See, I would say smaller churches.
Because
Yeah, 2
smaller
minutes.
churches might lose out on... So you have the church in Chicago and you have a church here in Clinton, Iowa, and if you tax them the same, there's no way the church in Clinton, Iowa will remain open. So I think there should be some sort of tax on churches if they're not providing essential things for the community.
Or they're non-profit.
My thoughts are that religion is a choice of the individual, like Joe said. And I think a lot of religions have many things in common. The 10 Commandments, thou shalt not kill, are universals with Jewish, Muslim, and Christian faiths, as well as other faiths like Buddhism, which is very emphasizing on peace. I think if we can work together, religion is a healthy part of everyday life. I have no problem with people praying in public, in schools,
1 minute.
as long as it's not forced. And while we cannot eliminate religion from public life, I really don't think we should. We need to make sure that someone's religious freedom does not impose on others. Thank you for watching River Talk. If you have any questions, email me. I know I say this in every single podcast, but my email is elegel@live.eic.edu. Thank you for watching.